Hello, people of YouTube, and welcome back. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing a bit of a different kind of video than a video game pickups, even though I'm in my video game room. It's probably a bit misleading here. In the last few year or so, I've been sort of like getting back into music again, and I've been having a few music pickups recently. I've slowly been adding stuff over the last few years via CDs and stuff like that, but since I slowed down buying video games, it's sort of like I had a bit of money to spend elsewhere. It should have been spent on more important things, but yeah, I decided to buy some music, and I have a big stack of vinyls that are music. I said I would not buy vinyls again because the problem is with me, once I start, I can't stop. It's an addiction. Everything. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, I've got a very addictive personality. But yeah, music was a big part of my life. I was going to be doing a video downstairs against my media wall, because I made a nice little music setup downstairs where I've got a nice turntable and everything like that. First time I've had a turntable for about 4 years, which is great. I thought someone was knocking then, but I think it's the wind. I think someone knocked on, the wind's blew my bloody letterbox then. Oh, what a day, eh? So yeah, like bit different. I don't know how this might be a bit of a long-winded video. I don't know, so skip through. I might do like little bullet points. I don't know. It depends on how lazy I am. But yeah, I want to talk about a few tracks, few vinyls that I picked up. I've got a feeling I'm going to be this is a rabbit hole I've now rejoined. People probably seen that I've had quite an extensive vinyl collection before, but I've stopped buying stuff for years and years. After the new vinyl craze came in, I kind of didn't agree with it, but it's brought me back in. I don't know, something. You buy one and then that's it. It's just you just keep buying. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of started listening. God, that wind's really bad. It's making Airwolf now. Yeah, so it's got me into looking into music, and obviously I started listening to stuff that I used to listen to before, and then I just kind of wanted to, I feel like I wanted to listen to something else, something new, and I went to buy a record. I found one on Amazon Music. I subscribe to Amazon Music. I think I'm going to be changing that soon because I like the idea of the year-end wrap-ups. What have I been listening to? And I like how it works on Spotify. Amazon Music's been fine so far. I like being able to just say her that should not be mentioned, and just ask her for music. But I think you can do that on Spotify with her. I've got to work it out and then decide where I'm going to. But anyway, am I rambling here? Because we should be talking about pickups. Right, anyway. So long story short, I found this new band. I wanted to see if there was any vinyls of theirs. And I found one. And it was by their record label. It was called Church Road. And you can't just buy one record. You've got to buy a few. So they actually did a little service on there where you got free vinyls randomly picked from their back catalogue, and they would send you free for 15 quid. And I thought, do you know what, that's a great way of like starting off my vinyl collection again and just finding some new bands that I might not have necessarily thought of before. And yeah, so we've got a few, and maybe hit or misses, I'm not too sure, but the first one is a band called Slow Crush, and we've got a bit of glare situation here. This isn't very good, so I've got to go back a bit. So I'm not too sure. It's that way, isn't it? So yeah, this is from Church Road Records, and yeah, this band. So I'm more into sort of like heavier sort of styles of music, also punk. I'm into quite a lot, to be fair. But yeah, like this one came, and that's better without that sleeve on, isn't it? Yeah, so this one came and I put it on, and yeah, it was good, but it definitely isn't something I would have normally picked up. Comes on a lovely blue splattered vinyl, and yeah, it was so basically Hush, sorry, I've been calling them Hush for ages, but they're actually called Slow Crush. Yeah, their stuff is very shoegaze. If you know what that kind of genre is, it's sort of slow, moody, sort of like really built like building up an atmosphere sort of thing, sort of like an ambience of heavy, distorted sort of synths, not synths. There's no synths in there. I don't know why I've said synths, but instruments. just brooding along. Not like it's not a very dark sort of album. It's not very shoegaze. It's sort of like shoegaze mixed with maybe not hardcore, but like sort of like hardcore sensibilities, just like spread out and just told to chill out a little bit. Probably like the drums are a little bit heavier than what normal shoegaze would be. I don't listen to much shoegaze. It's not like a genre I would normally listen to. But yeah, this was quite good. It was quite good. How I'm going to do these videos, I'm going to do them a little bit differently. I've probably got the music slowly in the background, and then I'll probably do a bit of a live or whatever music video, whatever I can find of said bands, just a bullet point them all. But yeah, like it's a good album. It's worth the £5 I paid for. That is definitely for sure. Would I buy any more stuff by these? Would I go see them live? Well, do you know what? If there was a round, I would definitely see them live. However, would I buy any more music by them? Probably not. It's not my kind of thing. I do like slow, melodic and chilled music, but not always. It's got to be the right sort of like thing for me. If you heard of a band called Appleseed Cast, I absolutely love them. They're probably my peak sort of, I don't know, not shoegaze, but like sort of instrumental background noise. Yeah, this will be a good just have a nice little drink to, probably play some games, not have to really think about much. But yeah, good album. Listen. We're back this time. We've got a bit of banana bread beer, so I've been slowly sipping this. I'm kind of editing this along as we go, just listening to it. I'm having a good time here, just listening to some music and making a bit of a video. But yeah, next up in the trilogy of records I got for 15 quid is one that I didn't know what the hell it was, because there literally wasn't anything on here to signify who it was. Yeah, there's very little on the vinyl. But yeah, this is Big Love. That is a fucking sick vinyl record. I just love that. I don't know what to call it, like a bleeding sort of colour. It's not a splatter, is it? But yeah, what's it called? Crusaders of Love. Sorry, can't see me. Probably a good thing. Crusaders of Love by Big Love. And yeah, this is more of an EP than it is a actual album, and it's a lot different. It's we're picking up tempo here. It's still a very slow, sludgy doom style. Well, the other one wasn't sludgy at all, but like this one's a bit more, yeah, it's like an old style of hardcore, like vocal wise, like where it's like very like screaming at the top of your lungs. The vocalist reminds me a little bit of Not Waving But Drowning. That's the band name, isn't it? I'm sure it's them anyway. It's been a while since I've listened to them. But yeah, vocalist very much sounds like that. However, in a completely different setting. That's more like faster metally hardcore. This is just like more sludge doom, sort of like really slowed down sort of like instrumentals. Yeah, this is more my kind of a thing. Still doesn't quite, it's not like, I don't think this would be on heavy rotation for me. I really enjoy the sound that they create. It's really good. I'd like to see what an album of theirs would be like. That being said, when you listen to the vocalist, you would expect it to be like punchy 2 to 3 minute tracks, but obviously with it being slowed down, these 4 tracks are like half an hour long or something. Like it's very, very interesting. But yeah, like everything's very sludgy doomy. And then right on the last track, I'm looking down here to see what the track names are and everything like that. Like I say, these are like bands that I've kind of gone for. It's just happy accidents, I guess. But yeah, like Forever Intimate. Yeah, so that one completely changes. Well, it doesn't completely change it. It just sort of picks up the pace a little bit, and I think the track is a little bit faster from. I mean, I'm going by records, so I don't know speeds or like the track lengths and stuff like that fully. But yeah, that one like picks up the tempo, and it adds a bit of throat growling, sort of like screaming in there. And yeah, really, that is probably the standout track for me. If I was to put in a playlist, that would be the track to put on there for me. So yeah, again, probably a 7 out of 10 album, well, EP. For me, this one is something I would listen to. Would I buy something of theirs? I wouldn't necessarily go out my way to buy it, but if I saw it in a sale for like a tenner or something like that, I probably would buy something of theirs again. Yeah, definitely. Would love to see them live. That would be, I think, live they would be fantastic. I don't see as much about these guys as I have the other bands that I've got from this little sample pack. So I'm not too sure. I can't actually find any live footage, so I'll just put some louder track instrumentals from what they've done. Right, next up, so the next album, well, another EP it is, really took me by surprise. This is something I'm really enjoying the new music movement. There's quite a lot of new stuff that's like really pushing boundaries, mixing genres, which is something back in the day you could never do. There was like it was very elitist sort of scene, and I do think they've got a bit of a backlash from doing this genre mixing. But for me, as an old fart who doesn't care about all that kind of stuff anymore, he really did it once upon a time. This is like a proper breath of fresh air, and the band's called Scowl. So this is a female fronted hardcore band in probably the most sincerest sort of way. However, when I say they genre mix, the genre that they mix is sort of like the girl grunge sort of movement. So think L7 or Hole or something like that. they will mix like sort of like scowly, dirty like vocals, and then go into sort of like a very like sort of grungy, sort of like very well vocalized, well not well vocalized, but like, you know what I mean, with the grungy sort of like a sing-along sort of style, rather than the growly sort of scowling sort of side. This EP sort of changed their sort of like way into that sort of like mixed sort of genre. Their album before doesn't sound like that. It is just more hardcore. However, I do feel like this might have been a way to sort of like mix things up a little bit, in a way to appeal to more normal kind of people, if that makes sense. No offense to any normal people, whatever normal is, but like yeah, there's one, the actual title track, Psychic Dance Routine, that is just a typical grunge song, like female fronted grunge song, which is really good. But it just sort of like, it's just, you've heard it before, if that makes sense. Whereas the rest of the tracks are brilliant. What's it called? Shot Down. That is like, again, like the vocal is like just what you expect, like with this power punk grunge kind of track, but then just like opens up with like just like growly vocals, and it just mixes between. It's fantastic. It really is. I think these are going to go quite far, to be fair. I think people might start hearing about these again. I think if they do a full album in this sort of way, they could make it big time. And yeah, this is a fantastic one. So this one is on a lovely bubble gum pink splatter. Oh my god, it's not splatter, is it? It's sort of like, it's got stars in it and stuff like that. Really good. This is a single-sided album as well, which is really good. So this is like silkscreen actually, which is good for like these sort of like heavy EPs. Sometimes an EP, you don't want to be changing the vinyl over, you just want to hear it in one. They do a great job of that, they really do. So how I got onto these, well, I think I got onto them, I can't remember, just searching through, and then I found a website called Evil Greed, which is sort of like a hardcore, heavy sort of like kind of record store from Europe, I think it is. And yeah, I found loads of great artists from just searching through them. And yeah, I can't remember if I knew about these before or after that website, but yeah, I'm so glad I did. It was like, I just got blown away by them, like I say, I can't say it enough. So as well, like I think I mentioned as well, like with Church Road Records, I actually got that mystery box because I was getting another album, and unfortunately that album never arrived for some reason. I was waiting for about a month and it never arrived. They arrived, so I contacted them, and then they sold out, unfortunately, so they had to refund me, which was, I'm gutted, to be honest, because I really wanted that album. Was it as good as this? Not a chance. But yeah, Evil Greed, how they send the records as well is like this, so you don't have to worry about the record sort of like damaging like you do sometimes in postage. So yeah, definitely recommend going to Evil Greed for records. Yeah, and I really recommend listening to these. So next up, we've got actually not a new release. This is come from back in the day. It's one that I've had my eye on for ages. I kind of was worried because it was like a drunken sort of like last minute purchase. I was listening to some of my vinyls, and I was listening to Le Shock. We've completely changed the pace of things now. So yeah, I was listening to a band called Le Shock on vinyl, and it just made me remember about this band. I went on to Discogs because I couldn't find anything on eBay or anything like that. And I found like a saved search listing I had for this album, and lo and behold, it was in the to be bought section, and it's FMbats, everybody out, sharks in the water. So Yeah, this has completely changed things up a little bit. So this was a brief period of time, like there was like sort of like going out of like hardcore music and stuff like that. I had like this really small stint into sort of like bands that were like sort of garage filled, sort of like they sounded like they was from the late 70s, early 80s, but it was like modern. It sounded very lo-fi, really like sort of like very like like people just learned their instruments that week and then just started to make a band, almost like that, like sort of like early proto-punk or something like that. Yeah, it was kind of like on the back of like bands like the Locusts and stuff like that. They would go out and sort of like make a secondary band that was very similar to the FMbats. So this one, no pretty vinyl here. We've got a sleeve of them, but it's like black vinyl. It was very hard to find coloured vinyl back in the day, but I mean it still happened, but just not. It's more prominent now, isn't it? But yeah, FMbats, like I don't think any track on this album, I say album in like the loosest term, it's like 10 tracks and yet it's less than 10 minutes long. It's fantastic. Really enjoy these. Really glad I got this album. I can't remember how much I got it for. It was only like a tenner at the most. I think postage costs more, so it's got like a bit of sticker damage on here and stuff like that. Absolutely fantastic. It brings me back to a great time of my life where it was just like you kind of like just didn't give a fuck anymore. It was like the changing of the guard of like music for me. It was like I after listening to a lot of like metal or like hardcore and stuff like that, I kind of got into this sort of almost elitist sort of vibe and stuff like that, and then these came around. It was like fucking doesn't matter anymore, let's have a good time. And it is just good time music. It's probably not for everyone because it is sort of like I say, it's like low level sort of like music. It's like it's not going to get on the radio at all. It just sounds like someone's just started a band up in the garage and just recorded it via like just a microphone and in the garage, and that's it. And that's what I love about it. I kind of miss this gritty, grimy, raw sort of like feeling of music. You don't get it as much anymore. Everything has to be perfect, whereas this was just like, let's just do it in one take and just enjoy ourselves. And you can tell it, and I miss that again. I miss that era of music where you just go see someone like this who's come from America, and you'd go see him in like this little pub where the stage is on the same floor that you're standing, and there's about 20 people in there, and you're all just flinging yourself around and just having a great time. Fantastic time. Another band. We're back to getting stuff from Evil Greed, and this time this is unfortunately this has got a come on, so a bit of a glare there. So this is Spy. Nice Spy in the corner. Satisfaction debut 10-track LP. Now this one is a bit of a banger, I've got to say. Really enjoyed this one. This one sort of like takes upon like what FMbats does, but then adds the more hardcore sort of grindcore vibe to it, but like instead of like being really polished and everything like that that like modern bands tend to be, this sort of like it's got that same feeling as FMbats. Sound wise, very different in some ways, well, a lot of ways, with especially the vocal. This is a scream band, very hardcore, fantastic. So yeah, 10 tracks, 10-track record. We've got what we got here. I've got a free digital download code. Not that I'm ever going to need that. Nice liner notes, and this one's another very sexy splatter vinyl. Gotta say, I really do enjoy these because to me, vinyls are just more for like sort of like the aesthetic. I enjoy collecting them. I don't actually listen to them full stop, but I just like to put them on every so often as an experience, because to be honest, I'm probably one of them minorities that like think that vinyls don't sound better than digital. I find digital better. It's just a much more reliable medium. That being said, you can't beat vinyl for that tactile feel. And sorry, I'm really blundering the review of Spy, aren't I? So yeah, this has just got some really fun hardcore breakdowns. Like I say, it's nothing that you haven't heard before. If you like this sort of like music, I almost thought it was like a sort of spoof band when I first saw them. I just thought it was like a bit of a joke band or something like that, because it was just like, it was so like you knew what they was going to do next. You could kind of predict like the music, but again, it is weird. Something like you can almost, it's sort of like comforting in some ways, because it's just good. It's just really good. I really like this band. I'm not very good at these reviews. Sorry for droning on about all this kind of stuff for so long. But that's what I like. I just want to have something to talk about and try and expand my vocabulary with music. Hopefully, if I do this again, I might come back with a bit more to say. But yeah, very recommend this band. And again, Eva Green did a cracking job sending these across. So check them out. So next up we've got new beer. I don't know if I've just showed this. I've just have to record this section again because my hard drive filled up. I need to do something. I need to get a new hard drive, I think. Yeah, so next up we have got one of my absolute favourite bands. I can't remember what I said before. This is Doom Maiden. But yeah, one of my favourite bands. It's Converge. So this is Jane Doe by Converge. This is a band that, like, I think I said earlier, mentioned earlier, how I used to have an elitist sort of view, very stubborn in my ways. I sort of always like pushing things forward. Like, I used to like to just search for bands that like no one else liked, and I wouldn't do it just purposely to be awkward or different. It had to be good, but like whenever a band just got popular or anything like that, I would instantly dismiss them, and Converge was one of those bands. I actually had a bit of a disdain for them a little bit, but because these were massive back in the early 2000s, at least to the people that I knew. Maybe I don't know how big they were, but yeah, like huge hardcore metal sort of vibes with these. I went to go see these in about 2002, 2003 or something. A friend took me to the show. She really wanted to go see him, so I was like, I've got to go. She wants to go, and it was at one of my favourite locations, which was Joseph's Well at Leeds. One of my favourite gig venues completely. Not because it was the best, but because it just so many memories, so many great bands were there. But yeah, like Converge was one of them, and yeah, as I say, very popular band. So this venue was completely chocker packed. I've never seen it so full ever in my life, other than when I went to see Converge. And yeah, so I because I usually I was the kind of person who'd be right at the front, chucking myself around the mosh pit, whatever, just having a great old time. These, I was like, I don't like them. Just stubborn old fart. Just don't want to see him. So I'll go stand at the back. It's fine. And when they started, I was just like, he was just instantly hooked by him. I was like the first bit of the show, I was like, oh, I don't want to like him, but the intensity, the ferocity, everything about them just shone through, and it was just like I just instantly like fell in love with this band from that moment. They are probably one of the best bands of this type of music. I don't know what I'm rubbish at genre sort of like naming. Everything's hardcore. Let's just say hardcore, a bit of a touch of metal. But yeah, these are the only band that can sort of like mix sort of like the beautiful, slow, plodding moments to high intensity, like just tempo changes, just like that. And I know every point of this album is so good. This one, however, is a live album. I've not actually listened to this yet. This one actually held up the order of the Evil Greed order, because even though this was recorded in 2016, it only just got released this year. So this one actually on double vinyl. Both vinyls are this great like two-tone sort of like brown sludgy sort of gold. Yeah, fantastic. I can't say enough good things about this band. These have been with me for the longest time, like musically, even when I was listening to dance records and stuff like that. This would be the stuff that I'd be listening to, like cycling and just trying to get myself just like keep a good tempo and stuff like that. Fantastic. I went to see them about 5 or 6 years ago, and there wasn't quite the same band as what I saw them all them years ago. It wasn't quite the same. They lost the ferocity. The crowd was not the same. I suppose 20 years later, do you know what I mean? It wasn't quite. It's never going to be the same. Well, probably 15 years later at that point, I suppose. Never going to be the same. But like, yeah, I've not really kept up with their music, even though I love them. I've dabbled in the newer albums, and they do sound the same, but to me, I just love all of that older stuff that they've done. They've done some of the best stuff, and yeah, Jane Doe, this album was their peak. That this was just like so many people tried emulating this sort of style. No one quite like succeeded as best as they could. So yeah, if you've sort of like stayed to this point, you probably know of this band. So there is that. I have got different types of music coming up as well, believe it or not. So let's go to that. That's where they die. 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 We'll never burn. We'll never burn. Everything Next up, a new band that again I bought from Evil Greed, and I was instantly drawn by the cover of this. It was like back in the olden days, like thumbing through the like CDs back in the day, and like, what's this? And like, I miss the days where you used to like be able to go chat to like your record store employee and speak to them about music and stuff like that. You don't have that anymore. I suppose that's why I'm kind of enjoying doing this a little bit, I suppose. But yeah, cover just sort of like intrigued me. I listened to them and got instantly hooked, and the band is Drain. So again, fairly recent band. However, they sound like late 90s, early 2000s hardcore with a touch of like thrash, like very thrashy. I was never really into thrash metal too much. It was more hardcore. I mean, this, I think the opening line of this is an ugh. Yeah, the typical thrash metal ugh sort of like noise that you used to do, and like, yeah, it's such a good album. Like, this just sort of like, it's again like, it's that nostalgia feel, like for me, like I feel like a kid again listening to a lot of this music, just sort of like reliving my youth. I kind of got to the bands that I liked, they went onto a rotation, and then they sort of like, they just repeat themselves over and over again, because I knew what I liked and knew what I didn't, and nothing else was coming in and out of there. Every time I listen to a new band, it just sounds like the copy of something else, whereas this sort of does, it's got a new edge to it. It's just weird. Like, bands nowadays, I think there's definitely, I mean, it might just be me because I'm sort of like having a resurgence in music or something, but I really do feel like bands are sort of getting it again. They don't have to be perfect, or they just need to be good, and Drain is one of them. Like, it's not just a good, pretty cover and a pretty vinyl. Let's have a look at the old vinyl. Like I say, bands nowadays just got fantastic vinyl. Look at that, like a bloodshot eyeball, isn't it? Bloodshot eyeball pink is what it is. Yeah, fantastic. It's and the thing is as well, it's like it's all like hyper aggressive sort of sounding, and yeah, it's you can tell they're all doing all this music with a smile on the face. You can just see there. And yeah, Revelation Records, blimey, I'm not seeing that record label for so long. They used to do some incredible stuff back in the day, so it was nice to see someone like this on their books again. Again, this is probably, out of my new stuff, this is probably one of my most listened to records. So yeah, if you enjoy your thrash, whatever, metal, hardcore, you will like this. You will like it, I've got to say. It's got to be up there. One of my new top 10 album bands, in fact, of all time. So 2 records left. I know this has probably been a bit of a long one, but yeah, this one, we're totally changing pace now. We are now going down. We're slowing down a little bit. We're expressing our more emotional side. Yeah, you probably won't recognise this unless you know of. Well, you wouldn't even know it from sort of like the original release or anything like that. So this is it 20th anniversary reprint of The Moon Is Down by Further Seems Forever. So yeah, fantastic album. This is, when people talk about emo bands and stuff like that, this is like the proto sort of like height of emo for me, before it all went downhill with like sort of the makeup and like sort of, yeah, just the stuff that just trying to be someone that you're not, sort of thing. This is just pure emotion for emotion's sake, not just to be emotional because it's cool, if that makes sense. Yeah, even though we're totally changing tempo, like I say, we're going down with more emotionally driven indie style music is probably a good way to say. I would say the band, the members from Further Seems Forever, Chris Cabrera, who later went on to form Dashboard Confessional, and he was like he fronted a hardcore band, so very much in the same sort of like genre, but not, if that makes sense. And then the drummer was like, I think he was in Shea Hullard, wasn't it? Can't remember. But I might be making shit up now. But yeah, like basically just saying like these are very much like closely connected to hardcore, which is the music that was talking about previously. But like, yeah, there's something about like these bands, like I really enjoyed the emo music, like from this sort of like era. It was just nice to have that sort of like different type of like speed. You couldn't just listen to music, it was just like heavy all the time. Like you just needed to have like these bands and something to sing along to as well. Like I could sing along to a lot of like hardcore stuff, but not the same way as you could like these kind of bands. I would say this Further Seems Forever, like back in the early 2000s, like you wouldn't be able to go out to an alternative night without seeing someone, or at least a handful of people with a Further Seems Forever t-shirt on, it seemed. They were that big. And then he went on to Dashboard Confessionals, and I think that was probably Chris Cabrera's like highest moment, really. People probably know of these. So this is actually just a sleeve. I've only just opened this now because I wanted to see what was inside. I've left it so long, like I say, because it was a special edition. I didn't want to open it up. So yeah, it comes with a nice little book which sort of like details sort of like everything. It has like lyrics in it and everything, and such a cool little thing. I've just flipped through that quickly before, and then obviously we've got the vinyl itself. So this is more what you're used to seeing. This has got a cool like blue and pink ombre sort of style vinyl. That is sick. That is sick, I've got to say. And then you've also got one more like sort of like liner notes. Sorry, it's not a liner notes. This is just a giant poster. That's what it is. I think by looking at the album cover. Yeah. So influential. I can't say how many bands these sort of like inspired, like from bands that were like screaming their heads off to then like taking this more emotionally charged, like slower paced sort of like actual singing voiced style music. Like so many bands like changed from this because of Chris Cabrera. Like he is like so influential to sort of like the early 2000s music. Do you hear it as much now? Probably not. I think it's kind of like, it kind of got like a bit of a bad name, but yeah, you don't really hear like, I don't know what the best way to call it nowadays, because emo music is sort of like got a stigma to it, that like people think of it as other types of music, whereas like emo back in the olden days, sort of like Weezer maybe is probably a higher, something that a lot of people know, kind of a band. But yeah, like some great music back then, so good. We're on the last album. This one is home stretch now. Last album, last beer. What are we drinking now? So we're having some nice mango, tropical mango harbour. Yeah, so cheers, guys. Yes, hope you've been enjoying a drink along with me. Maybe if you've got this far, you probably need a drink to listen to me for this long. That is certainly for sure. So yeah, next up, and it has to be a record that I have listened to from the past over the last years, and again, like that last one, it's another 20th anniversary pressing that just makes me feel fucking old. It really does, because this kind of music is like sort of like youthful, sort of like wistful, like emotional charge music. So it's like sometimes, like as an older adult, sometimes like some of the lyrics are a bit like, I don't know, doesn't really sort of like hold the same, but like I don't know, like there is something so good about this album, and it is Thrice. This is one that like secretly became one of my favourite albums of all time, by accident. It's like it was one that was always the second album I would play. It would never be the first, but when I thought about it, it built up so much to be the second album that I'd play, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys understand what I mean by that, but like it probably was one of my most listened to albums. This reminds me of another band called Grade, totally different, and they was very similar, kind of like they secretly snuck up on me of being a great band. So again, very of its time. I don't think I know of any other bands that are like this. Probably the closest thing that you're probably going to see of these is in a more popular culture is Funeral for a Friend, maybe, probably not quite. These just piss all over them so much. Thrice is so good. It's sort of like emotionally charged metal stroke hardcore, very more metally because it's got the like widdly bits and everything like that. And sometimes like this is like the early doors of sort of like genre sort of merging, but like the genres are a lot closer together than they are nowadays. Like genre merging now is just so bizarre, but also equally as works. But like back then, like this was just such a good album, very, like I say, great emo as back as what it was back then. It was almost a little bit embarrassing. The reason why it was always a second album is because I like more controversial, sort of like not controversial, more underground, sort of like more metal, not metal, I don't know, more underground sort of music, where this is a bit more like sort of like mainstream sounding, because you could hear the vocals, there was quite a big band and everything like that. Like I say, I used to be very embarrassed to know like bands that were quite big and stuff like that. But yeah, fantastic. I can't remember what record label, Hopeless Records, these were on back in the day. So yeah, it's nice to see that this got a 20th anniversary release, and so this is the vinyl itself, and it's on a lovely turquoisey translucent blue record. Fantastic. Again, I've not really played it on the vinyl, I've only just opened it for this. Again, I got this from eBay. The last two were from eBay actually. That Further Seems Forever one was probably the most expensive vinyl that I bought since collecting again. Yeah, so worth it though, worth it I find. It's got a nice book, so you know. But yeah, I don't know if anyone's heard this band. Hopefully you have, and you've got some good memories of it. Unfortunately, I've never seen. This is out of all of the bands that that are older than like 5 years old, 5-10 years old or something. This is the only band I've not seen. I would have loved to have seen this. Like I say, I used to see a lot of bands back in the day. I would have absolutely loved this. Sung my vocal cords out, because like I say, there's so many catchy lyrics on this. I find I'm not going to sing any because I'll just embarrass myself. I know I've had a few drinks now, but I'm not quite there yet. Maybe if I carry this on, but I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to play the rest of this record out.
Damn right!
So that's the last of it. So hope you enjoyed the new way I've done this. Probably not the best. I don't know. This is purely for my enjoyment. I've just sort of like been listening to the music in between when I've been talking about it. So yeah, a bit longer than a lot of my latest videos and stuff like that. So appreciate if you got to the end. If you have, tell me a record that you've heard of for the first time in the last year, and then put it down below that you really enjoyed, of course, not just any random one. Because I'm just enjoying new music. Doesn't have to be metal, doesn't have to be hardcore. Just tell me what you like. And yeah, I would love to see more people talking about music in the video game sphere. Obviously, I could go onto any music lover channel. I kind of I just find that them a bit too pretentious. I like to hear people that are more like down to earth, more grounded. And I suppose if people are more like into video games and music, then you're probably going to be more. You're not going to be as pretentious towards your music. Not like me, I'm very pretentious. So yeah, put a flipping top 5. It's hard to do a top 5. I know it is. It's impossible, because I was thinking about doing a top 5 records in my collection. It's impossible because it's just I have so many different tastes. I'd have to do different genres, and then still things change. Like, I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? Anyway, I'm sort of whittering on now, but like I say, make something music related. That'd be great. If you've got this far, I mean, you'll probably be 2 people has watched this. I'm assuming Marcus will be one. Who else will be the other one? Maybe Dylan, I don't know. But say hello by putting your favourite album of the last year that's new to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. I think I might have already bought some more records already, so there probably will be.